showing the worst that human nature can be. When you watch these talk shows in the afternoon, these humiliation shows, and that's what I call them, humiliation forums, where people go on to humiliate themselves and other people, why would someone want to watch someone humiliate themselves? If you have high self-esteem and high personal value, you're not going to want to engage in that kind of very prurient affectation. You're going to want to get beyond that. So what we will do is we will adapt to the circumstances in our life, because that's the limit that's been established for us. That's the end of our capacity. That's as far as we can go, because we're told that's as far as we go. There's nothing more we can do for you. Sorry, take this medication. Live with it. Well, how long can I live with it? What's my lifespan with 6 diseases that can kill me in 300 pounds? How long can I live? Well, you know, we can keep you alive maybe a year, maybe 2 years, maybe 3 years. Do you have any proof of that, or are you just guessing? Just guessing. What kind of stress does that create? You adapt to the stress. The danger in our society is we're a society that's conditioned to adapting to everything that's wrong. And the reason is simple. It's not that people don't want you to get better. It's not a conspiracy. The reason that you're so willing and able to adapt to any circumstance is because everyone else that you know is adapting as well. But that doesn't change anything. The reason that Angelo doesn't have any diseases, lost 100 pounds, and ran a marathon is because he decided to push back all barriers, eliminate all doubt about his capacity to change, and instead of using the word adaptation, use the word transformation. When you use just a single change in vocabulary, you go from the vernacular from adapt to transform, you go from the problem to the solution. The solution is in transformation, not adaptation. Adaptation does not transform disease. Adaptation allows you to accept the disease, as we accepted racism, sexism, anti-Semitism, as we accept the inevitability and consequences of wrong choices. Transformation says, I can change anything. One woman, Rachel Carson, changed our concept of an environment that was being utterly raped and polluted by the most powerful corporate sources in the world. One woman transformed our consciousness. Ralph Nader transformed our consciousness on consumer products. Isn't it interesting? A country of 200 million people, and 2 people, one in the environment and one in consumer, transform consciousness. They transform it because they transcend. Transcend boundaries. Boundaries of, well, don't speak out, don't complain. And where does that come from? Early in life. You should be seen, not heard. Don't stand out. Don't do anything that's going to cause you to be embarrassed or us to be embarrassed. You're told that enough times, and you're rewarded for keeping quiet and staying put. It's not going to be difficult to understand then why you would not make any major changes in your life. Because you've adapted to everything. You set barriers. At the height of almost any movement, less than 1% of the American population addresses it. Because my parents never protested. Why? Because my parents came from a generation where you were expected to trust authority, and whatever authority said, you believed. That meant that you were to be a good person based upon the rules of social conduct, so you didn't steal, you didn't lie, you didn't have to lock your doors. You had a strong sense of your own moral reality. That did not necessarily make you a good person. Other people were not of your same moral reality, because we still had, during my parents' generation, we had social injustice and racism also. But what it did is it allowed people to feel a sense of confidence because their life worked, providing they stayed in the boundaries. If they didn't protest, then the average American didn't protest, and only those people who were willing no longer to adapt to the belief system that they had grown up with protested. People who rebelled against that belief system and transcended it ideologically, politically, economically, creatively, spiritually, were the only ones who saw that they could protest something without fear. Because when you transcend, the first thing you surrender is fear. And transcending always lessens the sense of being obligated to holding on to false virtues that you've had in the past. Now, if you're the doctor, you're not afraid to transcend your indoctrinating and conditioning of what is right to treat and diagnose a disease. You will look at what helps the patient, and if you see that something in Ayurvedic medicine or something in transcendental meditation or something in hyperbaric oxygen does it, then you will no longer adapt to medical protocols like cookbook medicine. You will transcend it, and you will not have the fear that there'll be recrimination against you. You will look at the patient, the benefit, and the therapy. That is transcending from a problem to a solution, and that's why more people are seeking alternative points of view today, because the answers lie more often than not in the person who is transcended, because they are more enlightened. After all, the person that transcends already has all the virtue, knowledge, and information and education of the orthodox view, but the orthodox view does not have an understanding of what it means to transcend itself. So when you're told every question you have in life, every answer that you will need, everything you'll ever have to value will come from this circle, and inside this circle, trust only people from inside. And one day you transcend it, and you see, gee whiz, now I've lost weight and didn't diet. My disease is gone. All the authority figures who told me, believe in me and I will, maintain you. And now I stopped believing in them and started believing in myself. They didn't believe in me. And so I transcended, and look where I'm at. Now, once you do that, are you going to go back to old beliefs, old values, old fears, old limitations, old boundaries, old choices? Will you? No. You surrender. Now, what happens when you transcend a problem is, when you transcend a problem, you must surrender something. The wall that you all hit and keep hitting, and the reason why you keep going back to the same problems over and over again, is because you want the value and virtue of something that's new and exciting and liberating. You hear the words, you read the books, you see people, and you think, God, that looks great. I want that. I can do that. That's not so hard. And you take a step. And now the step, you start to feel uncomfortable. And you start to feel like you're doing something almost wrong. You're being disobedient. Disobedient to what? You're just trying to get healthy, mentally, physically, spiritually. I know, but when you get too close to that boundary, your comfort level starts to be shaken. And we are creatures of comfort. The number one addiction is comfort addiction. Now, when we start to surrender something, we say, well, now I'm going through discomfort. I'm giving up my coffee, my sugar. I'm giving up, more importantly, some of my values and beliefs. I'm giving up some of the trust that I've had in institutions or individuals to guide me and direct me. And they're telling me, stop, you fool. What are you doing this for? Give your allegiance to where it's always been. Don't abandon us. And then you start to turn back around and think, yeah, they're what I know. Yeah, but what you know is not allowing you to be who you are. You've made the mistake of thinking that a successful, well-lived life is also a happy, connected life. We have millions of individuals who succeeded at the job they were given and are unhappy because they didn't live their life. They lived the life of obedience they were told to live. They did exactly what they were told to do, kept their mouth shut, and now they succeeded in what? In processing disease? We adapted to sexism. We adapted to all these negative virtues and then get angry. And what do you do when you're angry? What do you do when you're angry? You overeat, you drink, you do drugs, you smoke, you watch other people who are angry, you associate with other people whose lives are equally out of balance. That's not constructive. That's not what you should be doing. That's negative sublimation. Now that's what I'm talking about who establishes your goals and boundaries, because you thought you did.